How are you, folks? Dave Brown here with the New Populace. Thank you again for joining me. Now, normally in my videos, I might talk about a politician, a media figure, people who have power who I find contemptible. I generally don't talk about other YouTubers, people on Twitter. I let them do their own thing and I sort of stay in my own lane. But in this video, I will make an exception because there's a person who has gotten a lot of attention lately. Apparently, he has been targeted by the Ukrainian government and put on the Ukrainian government's kill list, the unofficial list of people that they want to remove. He is very pro-Russia, he's pro-Palestinian, and he says he is being attacked by the deep state, and certainly it would seem that the media is trying to censor him to a certain extent. His YouTube channel was recently removed, and so he's mainly on Twitter now, putting his viewpoints out there. And that person is Jackson Hinkle. Young guy, interesting fella. Now, before I start this video, I don't want this to be an attack on the guy. That's not my intent here. But I want to clarify or investigate some of his positions and sort of point out how they are contradictory and don't quite make a lot of sense. And he's also a MAGA guy, and that's the other thing here. He is part of the MAGA movement, and being such, I want to caution people who are also part of the MAGA movement to not necessarily buy into some of these concepts because I think they will do more damage to our movement than good. And what specifically? Well, last year he started pushing something called MAGA Communism. MAGA Communism. That would seem to be just something that's in contradiction to itself, right? How can you be MAGA and communism? Well, he was pushing that idea, and at the time I thought it was quaint, amusing, and I did comment about it, but I quickly moved on because I didn't think it was something that was serious or gaining traction. But recently, the last few days, he is again pushing this idea of communism on his Twitter. He has 2 million followers. And again, that's why I want to address it, because he does have a huge audience, and some of these ideas, again, don't make a lot of sense. So on Twitter, he posted this. I'm the only X account that has the entire government, Israel, Ukraine. I guess that is well, I'm not sure what that is there. But I have all these governments attacking me and putting me on a kill list. It's because I exposed the deep state, and I know that communism is the only answer to global tyranny, and he has the American flag with the hammer and sickle there, and he's a communist warrior, and that garnered 27,000 likes on Twitter. He also posted that he is an American patriot, God-fearing, pro-family, marxist-leninist, pro-Palestinian, Russia and China, anti-deep state, anti-imperialist, anti-woke, pro-growth, anti-monopoly, pro-gun, pro-fossil fuel. Now, what struck me here was claiming to be a Marxist-Leninist and saying that he is God-fearing. And that is a tremendous contradiction. Can you be a Marxist-Leninist and be God-fearing? Well, Lenin himself talks about religion. And back in the early 20th century, a lot of the Marxist intellectuals, they wrote pamphlets, books, they traded ideas, they attacked each other, and they really were trying to flush out and clarify Marxism and the path forward in this communist Marxist revolution. And in one pamphlet, he wrote this. It's called Socialism and Religion. He says, religion must be of no concern to the state And religious societies must have no connection with government authority. Everyone must be absolutely free to profess any religion he pleases, or no religion whatever. To be an atheist, um, which every socialist is as a rule. So he makes it very clear here, if you are a socialist, as a rule, you are an atheist, but everyone must be free to profess what they want. Now, why is that? Why would Lenin say that if he's an atheist? Well, it explains. It would be stupid to think that in a society based on the endless oppression and coercing of the worker masses, religious prejudice could be dispelled by purely propaganda methods. It would be bourgeois narrow mindedness to forget that the yoke of religion that weighs upon mankind is merely a product and reflection of the economic yoke within society. No number of pamphlets and no amount of preaching can enlighten the proletariat if it is not enlightened by its own struggle against the dark forces of capitalism. Unity in this really revolutionary struggle of the oppressed class for the creation of a paradise on earth is more important to us than unity of proletarian opinion on paradise in heaven. So essentially, what he's saying is that we have bigger fish to fry than to try to convince all the peasants and all the proletariat that there is no God in heaven. So let's put that to the side and just focus on going after capitalism. And this is why Lenin was so effective. He was a pragmatist. He was a strategist. He was taking Marxism and finding ways to implement it into society. And that's why he was so effective, and that's why he was so dangerous, because he was a pragmatist. He wasn't a Trotsky-like idealist. He said, how do we actually make this work? So religion, if you want to believe in it, we're not going to stress on that. We're going to just focus on going after capitalism, and we'll welcome in people who are religious, but it won't be part of the state. And this pragmatism is seen elsewhere. He wrote a pamphlet called Left-Wing Communism, an Infantile Disorder. And in this case, he is addressing the Marxists in England who are refusing to join Parliament and refusing to work with left-wing parties because they are being absolutist, going, well, if the Parliament is part of the system, part of the oppressor system, then we can't be part of that Parliament. And he's saying, no, go to Parliament, get some seats in Parliament, and you start molding your way in. And then you have a base of operations to keep on working on your propaganda and trying to turn more left-wing people toward Marxism. So he's saying, don't be infantile, be pragmatic. And that's what he was preaching to Marxists all over Europe. Be pragmatic. As far as his love for Putin and Russia, Jackson Hinkle, do Marxist-Leninist ideas, are they still relevant in Russia? Well, one person who was a prominent intellectual in Russia is Alexander Dugin, and in this picture here, this is the attack by the Ukrainians where they attempted to assassinate him, and they actually ended up killing his daughter, not him. Now, Alexander Dugin is called by people in the West Putin's brain. I think that is greatly exaggerated. But he is a prominent Russian intellectual, political thinker, and the fact that the Ukrainians targeted him shows that he does have that status in Russian society. So what does Alexander Dugin think about communism? Well, he wrote a book called The Fourth Political Theory, where he discusses liberalism, communism, and fascism. And here's what he says. For my own country, Russia, the fourth political theory, among other things, has an immense practical significance. The majority of Russian people suffer their integration into global society as a loss of their own identity. The Russian population has almost entirely rejected liberal ideology in the 90s, but it is also apparent that a return to the illiberal political ideologies of the 20th century, such as communism or fascism, is unlikely as these ideologies have already failed and historically proven themselves to be incompatible with opposing liberalism, to say nothing of the moral cost of totalitarianism. Therefore, in order to fill this political and ideological vacuum, Russia needs a new political idea. For Russia, liberalism does not fit, but communism and fascism are equally unacceptable. Consequently, we need a fourth political theory. So that is Alexander Dugin rejecting communism as an idea for Russia. As far as China proclaims itself to be Marxist-Leninist itself, but in practice, it is sort of it's an authoritarian capitalist system. They have private property, they have billionaires. They do not have Marxist-Leninism in practice, and they are not really a communist society, which is why when we here in the West, conservatives, libertarians, when we call China a communist country, it's not really accurate, and certainly the same for Russia. Russia is not a communist country. The only country that you could say perhaps there is actually communism implemented is in North Korea. Maybe. And is North Korea doing well? Well, if you look at satellite photos of North Korea at night, it's a gigantic black hole. Not working too well in North Korea. So this idea of returning to communism, and especially the idea that the MAGA movement and communism are compatible, is absolutely ridiculous. Again, I don't know why he's pushing this idea. He's got a lot of followers. He's getting a lot of attention. And I can't assign motive. Is he sincere? Perhaps he is. And if he is, God bless him. That's his right to have his opinions. But is there the possibility that there's other motives as well? I don't know. I can't mind read. But I can go through those ideas and simply point out that they are frankly ridiculous. And the idea that there could be some sort of God-fearing MAGA communist movement is preposterous, and we should reject that nicely. We don't need to attack him and call him names or say he's a bad person, but just point out to him, like I'm doing in this video, that these ideas don't make sense, and that is not what we want to push here and promote here in America. And certainly, if you're a MAGA and Trump started the MAGA movement, well, is Trump a communist, Marxist-Leninist? Of course he's not. So again, it's hard for me to wrap my head around this idea, and I don't know why he's pushing it so hard. But perhaps in the future, we'll see some more clarity from him, and perhaps he will evolve his position or clarify his position. But who knows? Well, that's it for now. If you're new to my channel, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.